Let me read this. We got Charlie Spearing says, quote, I didn't overpromise, says Joe Biden. Says he outperformed in his first year. Josh Hawley responds, store shelves are empty. Prices are soaring. Real wages are declining. American cities are engulfed in violence. The border is controlled by the cartels. And parents are treated as terrorists while actual terrorists go free. When do the Dems seriously consider the 25th Amendment? And then what, Kamala Harris?
Yikes, that's a scary notion. You know, one of the things, too, tell you a sure sign in politics when someone who's in office or candidate, when they're losing, when their idea to turn something around is all tactics as opposed to strategy. Now, this is a little bit nuanced, but I'm putting my politics hat back on for a moment here. So Joe Biden, in addition to listing out everything going around the country, his grand strategy was to get out of the White House. I have to get out of the White House. I have to tour the country. I got to go talk to people. Between COVID and between things going on here in Washington, I'm not getting face to face. If I do this, things are going to turn around. That's a tactic. That's a small thing like, hey, we're going to hold press conferences on Wednesdays, or I'm going to go out and we're going to, he blamed it on the communications effort and said, we have to talk to people better. Okay, when you're talking about stuff as a president like that, President of the United States, you know the whole thing's a disaster. That's why I said Klain, Peppermint Patty, Circle Back, they all need to be fired because so disastrous. The headlines tomorrow are just a nightmare.
And just to be clear, Peppermint Patty is Jen Psaki, right?
Yes. She's somewhat decently nice, but you know, it's all's fair.
It was funny you called her that.
All's fair in politics.
And like, if you're discussing changing strategy instead of changing tactics, you're talking about more of a global, a general behaviors. Like, how are we going to deal with climate change as opposed to or is climate change what, you know, how big of a deal is climate change? Like, that would be more of a strategy conversation.
Right. So here's the reality for Biden is that Biden has one speed. Today he literally said what this was a buried line. I think I posted this on Getter. He said that we have to contrast against the other side more. He has one speed, and that's to go and say, I'm not Trump. And so usually what happens in an election is Joe Biden says, I'm not Trump. He ends up winning. And then the first year, second year, you don't have someone to say, I'm not Trump. Your ratings go down. And then you get closer to the next election. Then you have a chance to contrast against someone else. That's the only way that Biden has a chance of succeeding is saying, I'm not Trump. We saw him pivot to that. He couldn't even say anything negative about Mitch McConnell. I don't know if you guys saw that. He was like, oh, I'm friends with Mitch McConnell. He's great. But a strategy thing is Joe Biden has to go and take it. Right now he's playing the whack-a-mole with all these little things. A strategic change would be to go and say, rather than getting mired in all the Hill legislation, I'm going to go out there and launch a new initiative and get behind it and say, this administration is about, the chicken in every pot, or, this is about, helping this group of voters or something. But when you, so strategically, or he says, look, right now we're all in a fight against the CCP, or a fight against Putin and Russia. Some kind of strategic shift from domestic to international. That's a strategic shift, but just saying, I'm going to get out and go talk to people around the country. Do you think anyone who's pumping up and paying $5 or $6 a gallon for gas is going to give a, that he's going to get out of the White House more? No.